Hi, today's story is called Grandpa's Flowers, and it starts with a song. Flowers, flowers, raining on me. Purple, pink, red, and green make a flower, flower see. Flowers, flowers, raining on me. Purple, pink, red, and green make a flower, flower see. One day, a long time ago, there was a grandpa. And this grandpa loved to plant flowers. He had all kinds of flowers. He had blue flowers, he had orange flowers, he had purple flowers, yellow flowers, all kinds of flowers. And he planted them everywhere. He planted them in the gardens, he planted them along the street, on the roofs of the houses, he planted them on the cars, even he planted them on people's heads. He loved flowers, so they called him Grandpa Flowers. Now, Grandpa Flowers had a grandson. And grandson said, "Grandpa, you love flowers and you make everywhere beautiful. But you know, there's one place where you haven't planted flowers yet. And that is on the moon." And grandson said, "Wouldn't it be beautiful? Flowers everywhere, growing on the moon and floating in the air. Wouldn't it be beautiful? Flowers everywhere, growing on the moon and floating in the air." And Grandpa was thinking, my boy, that has imagination. And when grandson went back to school, Grandpa was thinking, how can he go to the moon? And he got an idea. He got all the wood. And he started to boom, 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 hammer, 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 hit the nails. And what was he making? He was making a boat. And his neighbors came and said, "Grandpa, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm making a boat." He says, "But there's no water here." And he says, "Oh, you will see. This is not a boat for water." And the people said, "Oh, Grandpa, he's old. His head is not so clear anymore." But one day, when the grandson came again, Grandpa called him, says, "Come." He took bags and bags of seeds, and he put them all in his boat. And then he called his friends, the birds, and he said, "Birds, let's go. We are going to grow flowers on the moon." And the birds sang, "Wouldn't it be beautiful? Flowers everywhere, growing on the moon and floating in the air. Wouldn't it be beautiful?" And they were so happy. They all pulled up the boat, and the boat started to fly and fly and fly. And it went high, high up into the sky. And the earth became very small. And it went very well for some time. But then, oh no, there came the wind and storms and rain, and the boat was shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking, and the boat was turning, turning, turning over. Oh no! And as the boat was turning over and shaking, and Grandpa and grandson and all the bags with seeds were falling and falling and falling and falling. Now luckily, the birds really loved Grandpa and the grandson, and they saved them. And they put them nicely on the mountaintop. And they were okay. But Grandpa and grandson were very sad. They had to go home. They didn't want to go home. The people would laugh at them. But they went up the mountain, and they went down the mountain, and they went up the mountain, and they went down the mountain, and they walked and they walked. But they said, people will laugh at us. They said, we are foolish, that our head is not so clear. My grandson, we have to go home, Grandpa. We have to be brave. We shouldn't be scared. And so they climbed up the mountain, and they climbed down the mountain, and up and down, and they came closer and closer to their home. And Grandpa said, grandson, my heart is going boom, 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 boom. I'm feeling scared. I don't want to go home. But grandson said, you have to be brave. And Grandpa said, okay, I'll be brave. And when they come to the last mountain, close to their village, suddenly they saw all the people. And the people were calling. And they said, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa. And Grandpa said, yeah, I know. Something went wrong. He said, don't laugh at me. He said, no, Grandpa, Grandpa, come. And Grandpa said, no, I don't want to come. I just go home quietly. Don't bother me. You just go and do your things. Listen, people said, no, Grandpa, come. He says, what's it? Grandpa, look up. And Grandpa and grandson, they looked up. And what did they see? Yellow daffodils, purple carnations. So many flowers floating and floating in the air. And the people were all singing. Flowers, flowers, raining on me. Purple, pink, red, and green make a flower sea. Flowers, flowers, raining on me. The Grandpa is so beautiful. And Grandpa looked up at the sky and he said, yes, it's amazing. It's beautiful. That night, the people didn't go to sleep. They looked at the sky and they looked at the beautiful flowers. And the flowers were falling down. And when the flowers were falling down, they finally went home. And for many days, they could never forget that day. And in their heart, they were all singing. Flowers, flowers, raining on me. Purple, pink, red, and green make a flower sea. Grandpa Flowers is a story that has been with me for 30, 40 years. And this story, of course, is a little bit magical, but it reflects a very deep feeling that we have to make the world more beautiful than it was yesterday. So every day we get up and we are like Grandpa Flowers. Where can I plant flowers? Now, actually, the idea is, the story talks about flowers, but actually we can do anything. Anything that is loving, that is pure, that is humble, that is true, sincere. And I think this is the reflection of this story. And when you have these qualities, even the incredible things, like planting flowers on the moon or floating in the sky, can happen. And when these things happen, people are going to be touched. And I think that gives beauty to all of our lives. And we don't need to be very rich. We have to have just a true heart, true dedication, and just like Grandpa Flowers, believe in the dream. And when the dreams have that force of the pure heart, then the world can become a wonderful place.